Hey everyone, this is Bianca, and we are just testing everything and making sure that it's all working. And I'm hoping this is working. Do you guys want to chat in the chat box? See, it shows that there are 3 people there. I know we're 15 minutes early. I'm not quite sure how to, I don't know if I can pause the yes.
That's your video on as well.
Yeah. Praying my internet. Hi everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm excited to be in a new platform and excited to be sharing our first Technophobe No More session. So thank you for joining us. If you're joining us live, just to give you a little bit of a hi, Aisha, little bit of a hello and a welcome to IMAP. If you haven't been in IMAP before, you'll notice on the right-hand side at the very top are the links to the people in the IMAP, the ability to send direct messages to people who are on the group. And then in the next row below that, you'll see a chat box, which is for everyone who's chatting live during the IMAP session. And then there's a Q&A section. That's just a nice way for me to be able to see the questions separate from the chat box. And so if you have a specific question as I'm going through the things that I talk about in each of the sessions this week, you can please just pop your questions into the Q&A, and we should have a few minutes at the end of the session to go through some of the questions. Otherwise, we'll save all those Q&As and we will be going through them on the live Q&A next week. So thank you very much. We're very excited to have everyone here joining us for Technophobe No More. We are also streaming live to Facebook. Please note that we will not be following the comments on the Facebook Live during the live presentation. If you would like to comment live during these streams, you please need to sign up at vabootcamp.co.za. And we will send you the links to the AirMeet sessions, and you can ask your questions live with us here in AirMeet. So thank you everyone who is joining us. Very excited to be launching this. So I'm going to open my presentation and we can get started. So perhaps while that's busy loading, let's just say a quick welcome. And do you want to pop into the chat just so that we can, the chat is working, where you are coming to us from? So if you can just pop your name and the city that you are coming to us from, that would be great. So I'm based in Durban and we've got a beautiful sunny day today, very typical South Africa winters. It's fantastic. So welcome Brenda and Adrian. Thank you for joining us. So this week I'm going to be doing a live series called Technophobe No More. Hi Aisha, also from Durban. Candice from Cape Town. Yay, so excited to have some representatives from around the country. So just a little bit about me and who I am and why you should listen to what I have to say about Technophobe No More. I consider myself a digital native. I have been doing things online since before they were cool. I was part of one of the first online banking options in South Africa all those years ago when it was with United Bank. And I actually personally knew the person whose bank card was used in all of the adverts for the online banking. It was really rather amusing. So I have always enjoyed computers. I've not a computer programmer by any means. Almost everything that I do is self-taught. I have a passion for knowledge, and my biggest passion at the moment is empowerment. And actually, if I look through my entire career, that has always been a really important part of what I do. And for me, it's also about empowering people in technology. It's where I'm most comfortable. So I have run WAM Workspace, which is a tech virtual assistance business. And the business is 4 years old this year. And we are heading towards our first $1 million rand year this year. So very excited to be moving the business forward, and super excited to be launching VA Bootcamp next month, which is our virtual assistant training for South Africans. Hi, Kim. Nice to have you join us on the live. So today, over the next 5 days, I'm going to be focusing on different aspects of technology. And today, we are going to talk about everything email. And I think it's an important one to start off with, because it's probably the most important part of having an online business. Is you need to be able to communicate with people all over and online. And so it's really useful to make sure that you're doing things as easily and as efficiently as possible when it comes to email. So today we're going to be chatting about things like where to host your email, how to set up your email accounts correctly so that you know that they are working the best across multiple devices. We'll also be talking about what platforms to use in order to access your email. We'll also go into email marketing, and we'll chat about the different platforms and the difference between them, as well as looking a little bit into online storage, because it kind of ties in with email. So let's get started so that we can finish on time. So there are a number of ways that you can access email. A lot of people will usually, when they start out, have an email account that is linked to their domain and their website. And you may be using your web server in order to access your emails. So to kind of give you an idea of how email works, it's actually rather amusing. I learned this from the Storybots, thanks to my 7-year-old and 4-year-old. So basically, you create an email on your computer. The computer changes it into a series of electrical impulses, which travel through in our case now, up into the cloud, and they are then distributed from there to the address that you have specified in the other person's email address. So the reason that you need to sort of understand a little bit about how email works is all of that information that you have created needs to be stored somewhere. And when you are storing it on your web server, it's a server that holds all of those ones and zeros and makes sure that they are delivered to the right people. The problem with email is that it tends to move around a lot, where something like a website tends to stay in the same place. You might make some updates and changes, but it's not as much information that's needing to pass around all over. So the reason that things like Gmail and Google Workspace and Office 365 and those sorts of things have developed is because it takes a certain amount of server space to actually make emails play nice on the internet, if that makes sense. So that is why we generally recommend, rather than using your web server, that you use a server that is optimized for email and that has put a lot of the work into making sure that your emails get delivered, that they are easy to find, and that you can actually get everything that you need when you need it as quickly as possible. So these are some of the main players that are out there. Gmail is a free service by Google, which lets you have an email address at Gmail. And that is a great option when you're just starting out, but it's very difficult to get a lot of brand representation or those sorts of things when you are using something like a Gmail email address. Google Workspace is the paid option from Google, which lets you use your own domain name. So you can have your email address look like it's the same as your website address, but it still basically runs in Gmail. And it's really a fantastic option. The pricing is fairly competitive, but for the amount of work that you, the amount of options that you get with that Google Workspace, it's well worth the money. Office 365 is Microsoft's response to Google and offers you a lot of similar options. It includes things like the Office programs like Word and Excel and those sorts of things, but Google is starting to compete more and more with their documents and those sorts of things as well. And then Microsoft Outlook is basically a program that you can put on your computer which will help you use your web server email in a way that works quite well for you. There are ways to have web server email pull through into a Gmail account, but it can get complicated and takes a fair amount of technology to make sure that that's working correctly. One of the important things to know about when you're talking about email settings, if you are going to use your web server in order to run your email, which can be a more affordable way to do it when you're starting out, is to know about things like SMTP and IMAP and POP. And these are words that we probably have seen, and they probably freak us out a little bit because it's all sort of technology and those sorts of things. The biggest thing to understand is the difference between IMAP and POP. So I'm not even going to give you the definitions because they don't really matter. It's just to remember which one is more important. So what POP does is it takes all of the information off of your server and puts it onto a single place. So if you are using Outlook on your computer and you pull through your POP3 emails from your web server onto your desktop, those emails are now on your desktop and they are no longer on your web server. Which means that if you now go and try and access your email on your phone, you're not going to be able to access those same emails. The same applies with IMAP. The opposite applies with IMAP. IMAP references the information on your server, but it leaves the information there. What that means is that you can then access those same emails, the sent and received emails on your computer, on your phone, on another computer. You can sign into a web server and those sorts of things. So it's always recommended, particularly if you have an online business and you are a remote worker and you're doing part of your job on your phone and part of your job on your own computer, and maybe you're logging into another computer at a co-working space or something like that. It's really important that you have your email set up as IMAP so that you can actually access your email from anywhere. So that is the biggest difference between IMAP and POP, and those are the two that it's most important to know about in order to make sure that your online business is able to run as efficiently as possible. The nice thing is with things like Google and Microsoft 365 and the Google Workspace is all of those generally work on IMAP, and so you have access to your email from anywhere. Literally all you need is your logins, and that will help you there. So that's just it's a little bit more information. Related to emails, and before we move on to email marketing, is things like data collection. And this obviously is quite an important thing to keep in mind when it comes to things like the current POPI Act, which comes into effect at the end of the year, is you want to make sure that you're using a platform that protects your clients' personal information. There are so many options out there. Google Forms, again, like I said, is free, can be linked to your Gmail account, or it can be part of your Google Workspace. and is a lovely option. SurveyMonkey is great for collecting surveys. On the free account, you can collect, I think it's 100 entries and 10 questions. It might be less than 100, might only be 50 entries. So there is a paid option with SurveyMonkey. You then also get loads and loads of plugins that you can put into a WordPress website that can collect survey information and data collection. And then there's Typeform, which makes really beautiful forms, but it can get a little bit pricey. So you've got a number of options there. There are hundreds of thousands of options out there as well, probably as many as there are people that want them. I think the biggest thing when it comes to data collection is just to make sure that whoever you're dealing with is GDPR compliant, because generally if they're GDPR compliant, which is more of an international sort of recognized, they will be POPI compliant as well, which obviously for South Africans is really important. So the other thing I want to just quickly touch on is online storage and file transfer. Again, with an online business, you want to have as much available to you in the cloud as possible. So you want to make sure that you are able to access your documents and all of those sorts of things. So you've got things like WeTransfer. WeTransfer is a fantastic option if you are wanting to transfer large amounts of data now and again. So photographers tend to use WeTransfer quite a lot. It's also a nice one to use for transferring information, big images or branding and those sorts of things. WeTransfer is nice. You can do a gig at a time for free, and you can sign up for a free account. Anything more than that per month, and you do start to need to pay for it, but it's still a very affordable option for a lot of people, especially because it is mostly free and it mostly runs on advertising. Dropbox also has a free account. It's quite a small account, but you can pay to get a much bigger account. Also a really good option, very common. A lot of people know how to use Dropbox. It looks a lot like the file managers that we're used to using on our computers. Google Drive, obviously, like I mentioned, is included in Google Workspace. It's really up and coming. You get a lot of space on the free accounts, 30 gigabytes per user on the Google Workspace accounts, 15 gigabytes on a free account. And their storage is the cheapest out of all of these options as far as storing documents on the cloud. You can upgrade your account to a terabyte for about 20 Rand a month, which is really fantastic. And then you've also got iCloud. If you're on a Mac, you get a certain amount of iCloud storage included in your account as well. And generally what I recommend, especially if you're running a remote online business, much like my business, is that you have options and that you are backing up in multiple places so that you've always got the ability to access your work at all times. So for example, I have a Dropbox account, a Google Drive account, and an iCloud account, and my whole computer backs up to iCloud. All of my work documents back up to Google Drive, and I have Dropbox for shared documents for clients that I need to share with. And then exactly like Kim said, WeTransfer is fantastic for big transfers now and again. So now we're going to move into email marketing, and this ties in as well with the POPI Act that I mentioned a little bit earlier. It's really, really important to ensure that you are not using, and it ties into your email hosting as well. So you are legally not allowed to use your email hosting to send mass emails. It's actually in your contract, and if you actually read all of the days worth of terms and conditions that you agreed to when you signed up for a Gmail account or a web server account or any email account, it actually says that you're not allowed to send email mass emails out on your personal email. It can really affect the delivery of the emails, and what's worse is it can affect the delivery of your regular emails. So if you're sending one-on-one emails to clients with quotes or invoices or those sorts of things, and you've used your account to send mass emails, it can actually send your personal emails into the junk folder. And that's actually happened to a couple of our clients who had been using their standard email accounts to send out email marketing. So I just wanted to chat over some of the products that are available and just sort of really touch on the ones that are most common, both in South Africa as well as in sort of the VA spaces, because they tend to be the ones that are seen the most. So MailChimp would probably be one that almost everyone on this call recognizes. For a long time, it was by far the most popular email marketing platform, mainly because it was free for up to 2,500 subscribers. They still do have a free tier of the offering, but they have very severely limited what you can do on a free MailChimp account. And so it's not as popular a choice as it used to be. A lot of people have moved to MailerLite. MailChimp is quite has very much restricted the number of emails that you can send on a free account. And they have completely restricted the email automation marketing. So you can only send single automations in MailChimp now on the free account. MailerLite still allows for multi-step automations on their free account. However, their free limit is a smaller subscriber base. But actually, when you're starting out and you're building your list, the MailerLite numbers are really quite accessible, and they provide plenty of space for you to actually send out automated emails and to do those sorts of things in order to grow your list, which is the main thing that most people are wanting to use in email marketing for, is to grow their audience. The other two main ones that we deal with quite a lot in our business are ConvertKit and ActiveCampaign. ConvertKit is really good for education type businesses. They have really nice options for funnel building and split testing and those sorts of things. ActiveCampaign is a far more featured product and has a price tag to match, but it is a really fantastic platform in order to track your audience and to grow your audience, and has some really interesting ways that you can integrate it with other platforms, which is really quite exciting. So MailChimp, ConvertKit, and ActiveCampaign are the three main ones that we deal with the most. MailerLite is growing in popularity in South Africa because of the free options that it has. Mailblaze is a platform which is Cape Town based, and I'll admit that I haven't actually done a whole lot of work with them. I am mentioning them because they are coming up more and more often in South African groups. And so it is one to sort of keep an eye on. Their pricing in Rand does make them very competitive. But you do just need to, I highly recommend that if you are going to start paying for any email marketing platform, that you really compare the features of some of the more expensive platforms than upgrading something like MailChimp or MailerLite. When I have compared the pricing on ActiveCampaign to the pricing on MailChimp, it's far better to pay for ActiveCampaign for my business than to upgrade my MailChimp account, because I can get a lot more bang for my buck on the ActiveCampaign than I can on MailChimp. So just some things to keep in mind. The other one that you may see that comes up is Mautic. A few years ago, they ran quite a few lifetime deals which made them very accessible to a lot of people that may not necessarily have signed up with them. And their system is constantly improving and is now a lot more user-friendly than it was 3 years ago when I worked with it the first time. 3 years ago, you were still having to hard code all of your emails, which was not that much fun for someone who doesn't know too much about coding. And Boomerang is there just because it is a platform that is used, although it tends to be more popular in Australia. It's not one that I've actually worked on yet at all. So that is just the email marketing platforms. And then I'm very briefly going to chat about lead and client management platforms that are out there. Dubsado is a fantastic platform, very full-featured, a lot of options, but it comes with quite a hefty price tag, particularly for the South African market. It's fantastic for lead management. It includes things like being able to set up contracts and have them signed within Dubsado. You can track everything from the moment the moment someone becomes a lead or a prospect, right through the client onboarding, as well as marketing emails and all those sorts of things. So it's a really fantastic platform, but I haven't found a lot of South Africans that use it because of the price tag. It is quite a pricey platform for South Africans. Deskera is what we've started using in our business. We got a lifetime deal on the platform. Again, it's an up-and-coming platform, and they are constantly adding new features. Also gives you the option to track a lead from prospect status right through client management, sending through marketing emails. What's nice with that is you can also set up, and the same with Dubsado and Pipedrive. So all three of these are very similar platforms. It really comes down to what are the features that you're looking for your business, as well as the price point, and does the price point make sense for your business? So they all give you the option to track leads, follow them through the process, send reminder emails, follow-up emails, those sorts of things. And then once people become a client, you have ways of integrating contract management and contract signing. Deskera integrates with invoicing. Dubsado can also send or integrate with invoicing, although Dubsado doesn't really track the payments and those sorts of things. Deskera has a full invoicing platform as part of their platform, which is quite interesting. Pipedrive is very much for lead and client management. It's not a lot of invoicing and those sorts of things included with it. So that sort of brings us to the end for today on email and everything email. Are there any questions from those that have joined us live on the AirMeet? Anything to do with email or email marketing, or even hosting and those sorts of things that you would like to ask? I'll give a couple of minutes for anyone to type up any questions. But tomorrow we will be, I will have Adrian on stage. We will be chatting about funny money, and we'll be doing invoicing. We'll have a quick chat about the South African banks. And we will also look at ways of being paid online, and how to get international payments through to you and those sorts of things. So that's what we'll be chatting about tomorrow with Funny Money. Kim has asked, when do you start paying for MailChimp now? So MailChimp, if you want to have more than one automated email in a row, you need to be on a paid account. If you have more than 2,500 contacts, you need to be on a paid account. If you send more than 10,000 emails a month, you need to be on a paid account. But the biggest issue is really to do with the automations, and there are a lot of features in the tracking of the emails and those sorts of things which they have now moved onto the paid accounts. And actually, I think it's 2,500 for those of us who were on free accounts before the change. I think the new MailChimp accounts now, when you hit 500 people on your list, you are required to pay. The problem with MailChimp is once you do start paying, it can be very expensive. So it is just sort of something to keep in mind as far as that goes. Are there any other questions? I don't see any in the Q&A or in the chat. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you everyone for joining us on our eMeet Live. If you are watching this on Facebook or later on YouTube, please do sign up at vabootcamp.co.za and we will send you the links for tomorrow's live. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you everyone. Have an amazing day and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.